A lot of brands think that a core component of growth comes from reaching more people. But what happens when you design for engagement instead at scale? Crayola launched a global initiative designed for engagement, and in year one, they only expected to engage about 500,000 kids. Instead, more than 2 million participated. 5 years later, that same initiative now engages over 17 million kids across more than 120 countries. Today's episode breaks down the growth strategy behind that result, how Crayola built a participation platform rooted in what the brand already stood for, and why enabling people at scale has become a powerful engine for modern brand growth. So after this short break, you'll hear my conversation with Crayola's Chief Marketing Officer, where she walks through how this initiative was designed and why it's been able to scale year over year. HubSpot helped Tumblr solve a really big problem. They needed to move fast to produce trending content, but their marketing team was stuck waiting on engineers to code every single email campaign. Now, they use HubSpot's customer platform to email real-time trending content to millions of users in just seconds. The impact? 3 times more engagement and double the content creation. Want to move faster like Tumblr? Visit HubSpot.com. Hey, Vicky, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks, Sonia, for having me.
Totally my pleasure. I'm really excited to dig into the projects that you are working on. You got lots of cool things coming up. But before we get too far into it, let the people know, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So Vicky Lozano, I'm a Chief Marketing Officer for Crayola. And as part of my responsibility, I basically oversee all of the consumer touch points in terms of how the brand engages. So whether it be, advertising, promotion, anything you might see from us in the social realm, as an example, including also what we do as a brand within the interactive space, within location-based entertainment, promotions and partnerships, as well as education.
Very cool. The whole gamut. I love to see, there's so many things that go into a brand and growing a brand and making it work. So one of the things that you all are doing that goes beyond what a lot of people might call the traditional tactics that people might think of is Creativity Week. Can you talk a little bit about Creativity Week? What is it? What inspired it? And why you're creating something at this scale?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to start by saying that Crayola is very much a creativity company. It was founded over 120 years ago. It was founded on this belief that creativity is fundamentally important and it matters for child development and matters to help kids reach their full potential. So there are things that we do as part of our marketing plan to really advocate and showcase the importance of creativity with parents. But there's also things that we do to help advocate for and showcase the importance of creativity in the classroom. And in this case, specifically focused on how you can use creativity as a way of teaching and learning across core subjects. So obviously creativity is present and really thriving in a lot of the art rooms, but this is also looks at how do you bring creativity into the main classroom?
Okay.
How do you make it standards aligned? How do you make it so that you could teach core subjects such as literacy, such as social emotional learning, STEM, and those things like that. And Creativity Week is our flagship program as part of our education programming that really focuses on 1 week in January, where we really celebrate creativity and the role that it plays in helping kids learn and actually showcasing how, using creativity, it really engages kids.
Yeah.
It makes them excited about learning. And by the way, there's actually empirical evidence that shows when kids learn that way, it actually improves outcomes and improves their grades. So because it is engaging them, it's helping with retention as well. So Crayola Creativity Week happening 1 week in January, and really celebrating and showcasing creative teaching and learning in the classroom across core subjects.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm very excited about that. And I can imagine my daughter, she's 5, she's in kindergarten. And I can imagine just the things that she comes home with, the artwork and just all her little creations. It's wonderful to see. And
Yeah.
in this world, I guess, especially when we have so much of a digital environment.
Yeah.
And as more and more kids are getting involved, there's still ways to be creative with it. But I think sometimes if you're just consuming, you're not being as creative as you could be. So it's nice that kids are being able to do that. I'm wondering, I know you mentioned that you all are a brand very much focused on creativity in general. I feel like a lot of times when brands are thinking about growth, they are very much focused on talking about their product specifically and
Hmm.
their product. How can they, make sure that people know how it can benefit them? Can you talk a little bit about why you all are taking more of the route of going beyond just your product
Hmm.
offering as a means to grow and to make this impact overall for your brand?
Sure. Well, I will say that product obviously is a very big part of who we are at Crayola. We have incredible innovation that we bring to market every year, incredible portfolio of existing products, and we will continue to focus on that.
Yeah.
But to your point, it's not instead, it's really in addition, is where we
Okay.
focus on also products, also experiences and content in a way that we bring the brand to life. Because
Okay.
at the end of the day, we know that whether we are trying to reach a child who just really wants to have really exciting, fun, creative experiences, whether we're trying to reach a parent to whom we're really talking about creativity as a life skill and helping kids to become, learn what they need to learn and become the best versions of themselves, or we are talking to teachers who really about how to use creativity as a way of teaching and improving outcomes for their students. All of that really can take a lot of different shapes, right? So, Crayola Creativity Week, as one example, is an example of what we do in the content pillar,
Yeah.
right? That is a way for us to advocate and showcase the power of creativity. Within the experiences pillar, you can talk about an interactive business because
Mhm.
why should creativity take place only on the physical canvas, right?
Yeah.
Creativity can absolutely be on a screen. And how can we create better quality, more edutainment type experiences for kids that parents would feel good about letting their kids have, but kids are actually learning something and they're
Yeah.
developing skills as they're doing it, or whether it's our location-based entertainment experiences like a Crayola experience where the entire family can come visit, spend the day with Crayola, and we really curate and make it super easy for them to enjoy hands-on creativity and also to help make some family memories in the process. I think if you think about the brand through the lens of products, experiences, and content, it creates a much more robust ecosystem.
Yeah.
And we could end up have a relationship or a touch point with the consumer on one or two or all three of them. But it creates a much bigger ecosystem and the role that the brand can and should play in people's lives. And I think it's just a much better reflection of the incredible breadth and also impact that
Yeah.
this brand can have in people's lives, and to be genuinely relevant and helpful, whether it's again kids, parents, teachers, or frankly even adults for themselves.
Yeah. Now, before we dive into more of the specifics of Creativity Week, you mentioned how fundamental creativity is to your organization and your culture.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about how you keep creativity at the forefront as part of your culture for people throughout your organization.
Yeah, I mean, I think creativity is really in our DNA.
Okay.
And again, it is so, so, so fundamental to how the brand was founded. So I think it's really kind of embedded and infused across everything that we do
Okay.
as a brand. And also because we have such a clear handle on our brand mission. Everything we do, it doesn't matter whether it's within brand marketing or whether it is within product development or whether it is within a manufacturing or supply chains,
Yeah.
really looking at ways that we challenge some of our orthodoxies, how we can come up and with more unique and better solution, how we problem solve, how we celebrate problems, and how we really showcase is like, oh well, that didn't work, let's be honest about it and talk about it and figure out how we address it in the future. I think it shows up in a maybe not a million, but in a lot of different ways across the organization. And it really becomes just a way of thinking and functioning and being able to really say, hey, we don't just believe it, we sort of live it, and it showcases in our behaviors.
Very cool. Very cool. How many creativity weeks have you had so far?
So this is going to be our fifth year.
Okay.
So believe it or not, it's hard to I know it's a fifth year feels like a lot, but honestly, it feels like it flew.
Uh-huh.
And when we originally started it, we thought we really had something compelling,
Okay.
and we wanted to test it. We thought we were launching a pilot, and we got about 4 times the number of kids to participate
Wow.
in that first year than what we had
Yeah.
expected. And then we realized we really struck a chord, and we had something incredibly powerful. So from that first year where we thought we were going to get 500,000 kids and we got 2 million kids,
It's
to this
amazing.
year where we're estimating about 17, 18 million kids joining the program across over 120 countries around the world, you have millions and millions of kids who are participating in this program globally.
Yeah.
At the same time, and kids, by the way, love hearing about the fact that they're doing some of the same activities and seeing the content that millions of their peers all around the world are actually seeing. They find that absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
And it really celebrates creativity and showcases how you can teach core subjects using creativity.
So I love that kids are really enamored with the fact that they're doing the same thing as their counterparts around the world. What have you all learned in these 5 years about engaging multicultural, multilingual, multinational communities at scale? Because I imagine that's not something that's the easiest to pull off.
Yeah. Well, I think what's really been enabling for us is we focus on the things that are really fundamentally sort of uniting for us as people, as students. We focus how to build communities. We focus on how to learn about teamwork. We focus on how to learn problem solving. Those are fundamental skills, right? And fundamental things that people are interested in, people value, regardless of where you are. And I think while we certainly celebrate our differences, we really focus on what really unites us and what topics and what content really appeals to a broad range of kids, regardless of where you live,
Yeah.
or teachers.
Yeah, so I was looking at your slate of creators for Creative Week, and it includes Questlove, Drew and Jonathan Scott, Harry Kane and Matthew Turner, Bluey,
Hmm.
Snoopy,
Yeah.
NASA astronauts, and a whole lot more. Why has such a broad diversity of different type of creators? How have you found that it impacts engagement whenever you have that type of mix?
Well, I think it's tremendously attractive for people because
Mm,
everybody has their unique interests.
yeah,
Everybody has things that are particularly relevant to them. So we always want to make sure that the topics are relevant, that the talent that participates has something really unique and compelling to be able to add to the program that we believe that kids and teachers would be really happy and excited to hear. And we also recognize that interest is different. So whether you're interested in space or whether you're
yeah,
really music speaks to you, right? Or regardless of what cultures you're from, we really want to make sure that we always curate the lineup of talent, but also content that is going to bring those different, points of engagement and also different learning opportunities that are truly much more, that are broader. As a result, we see why so many kids and teachers in so many countries sign up, because there's content that is really relevant to everybody. And
yeah.
we want to make sure different cultures, different point of views, different topics are represented.
So, because you want to make sure that so many people are represented and participate, how do you all think about removing any friction that may exist so that for the kids who want to participate, so that people, no matter their ability, their background, their identity, so that they are able to take part in this event?
Well, we really build the content specifically with that in mind. And
Okay.
in the process of both building the content, but also as we evolve the program every year we go out and we speak to educators to really learn on what worked, what didn't work, what else are they looking for, and how we can optimize both the content, but also how we deliver it and how,
Yeah.
and how we provide it in terms to really kind of enable that. So all of that input is incorporated into the development of the program. And in addition to that, we provide a wealth of other resources to help educators plan, to help educators engage communities, to help educators modify the content depending on the students that they have and how they can, for example, to age up the content or age down the content or any modifications that they would want to make. So I think for us, it's really developing something that is truly empowering and impactful, and then really partnering with educators to help them implement and make it easy and make it turnkey. And the one thing I didn't mention is that content, everything that we do as part of Crayola Creativity Week is absolutely free.
Yeah.
We translate it to many languages. We make it aligned to standards of 15 different countries, and everything is delivered completely free. So we really, truly try to make it as much as possible easy and adaptable for kids and educators to participate regardless of where they are or any specific needs that they may have.
Yeah. Okay, I've got another podcast recommendation for you. It's Marketing Against the Grain, hosted by Kip Bodnar and Kieran Flanagan, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. If you want to know what's happening now in marketing, what's ahead, and how you can lead the way, this is the podcast for you. I've listened to this show several times, and I can tell you that I have sent episodes of this show to people in my network, and they have gotten great value out of it because it was on topics that are super highly relevant today. If you want to check out a recent episode to pique your interest, check out My Data Proves SEO is Not Dead, plus how to rank #1 on Google and AI. It's a super practical show where you'll get lots of no fluff insight. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Listen to Marketing Against the Grain wherever you get your podcasts. With everything that you've been learning over these last 5 years, as you've been engaging Creativity Week, I'm curious if among Gen Alpha in particular, you all have picked up any insights about what they may be telling us about creativity, identity, and how they express themselves that might be different from what you have seen in previous generations.
This program was been in existence for 5 years. So predominantly, we've really been working with Gen Alpha as relates to Crayola Creativity Week. And what we've seen is they are really hungry and really looking for ways of learning that breaks through the clutter. And what I mean by that is how do you actually personalize and kind of sort of almost like customize the experience, but obviously still consistent with what teachers are required to teach.
Yeah.
But you create the kinds of things that really engage them and involve them in their learning. And what we're seeing really the kids are sparking to is the ability to hear topics that they can personally relate to, and the ability to put their own personal twist through the hands-on activities that are really individualized. So you're creating a framework that is very much aligned to what they need to learn, but you're giving them the opportunity to customize and to personalize the process. And if you really think about Gen Alpha, they're used to that.
Yeah.
Right? Because with their relationship with technology, that's how they sort of interact with any content or knowledge that they come across. So I think by being able to do that is what's really helped us make the content incredibly engaging. And, one of the comments we always get every year from teachers is that kids don't want to stop doing the activities.
Yeah.
So while we try to make sure we design them to a specific amount of time during the day that makes it easy for the teachers to incorporate it into their schedule, we always find that kids are just really attracted to that way of learning and want to continue to, and are really looking forward to the following day to be able to continue that kind of a learning, because again, it's sort of customized to the way that they are used to receiving and engaging with and processing content.
I know that from the work that I do, that a lot of brands struggle to engage communities and identities or different audiences who have different backgrounds. They kind of sometimes struggle to do that authentically. What advice would you give marketers who want to reach communities that they haven't connected with previously? Just because you all have been having such wonderful experience reaching people of all different backgrounds, what advice would you give them about their efforts to be able to engage more communities?
Well, I think for us, obviously, authenticity is the most important thing, right? I think any brand or market, as you think about, there's always what it is that we want to be able to communicate, but it's always so important to just remember what is it that people want to need to hear,
Yeah.
right? So being able to have that perspective. And again, I think to me, any kind of effort is a combination of both what makes certain communities of people different, but also what common grounds we have as people. And it's important to understand both
Yeah.
because you need to be able to lean into both elements in order to be truly compelling and authentic. And I think for us is, again, whether we do it in education or whether we do it on anything else in any area of the brand, those are the kinds of things that we focus on. And we want to be able to make sure that any person, any background, any ability can see themselves in what we're doing, that could use our content, product, or experiences in the way that fits to them, and being able to sort of use it to represent the world as they see it, and the world that is sort of there's the world that represents the microcosm in which they live.
Yeah.
So I think for us, it's really being able to focus on those things that has really made a difference. And again, whether it's this content that I mentioned, or even going back to our Colors of the World product, where we want all kids to be able to represent themselves and create the world as they see it in their lives.
Yeah. Could you just briefly, you mentioned Colors of the World, and I've heard people mention that
Mm-hmm.
project as a really stellar example of inclusive marketing and a way to engage other communities. Can you just briefly let people know who may not be aware of what is the Colors of the World project?
Sure. Yeah. So Colors of the World product is about 5 years old at this point, and it
Okay.
was really launched as a way of doing exactly that, is helping kids anywhere in the world of any ethnic background to be able to represent themselves and to be able to draw and capture the world as they see it around them. And in order to do that, we really needed to be able to represent the global skin tones that are available or that are present around us around the world. So we actually worked with one of the founders of MAC Cosmetics, and we formulated a line of products that was really based and tied to, based on the insights from skin foundations, to represent 24 global skin tones, to make sure that any child that picks up a box of our Colors of the World crayons can find a shade for themselves, for their brother, for their sister, represent the entire family
Yeah.
of skin tones, and be able to capture themselves on the
Yeah.
page, which, believe it or not, was not really truly possible prior to that.
Yeah, as someone who there's three of us in our family and we have three different colors, right? And so I can tell it's something that's very important as we think about like
Hmm.
everyone has their own version of what their normal is and their reality is. And so, yeah, we'd like to be able to support that wherever possible so they don't feel othered or like they're different just for, being who they are. So I think that's a beautiful
Absolutely.
project that you all did. As we wrap up, I just want to switch gears a little bit. And I'd like to hear your experiences as a consumer. Can you
Mhm.
tell me about a time when a brand made you feel like you belonged?
I think for me, I always loved the very original Dove work
Mhm.
that really focused on just celebrating beauty and redefining the standard of beauty. And I think this idea of being able to showcase women as they are. And I know that that campaign has had many chapters, but I think some of the original work has always been one of my favorites.
Very cool. Very
I'm
cool.
dating myself.
I've always loved that campaign as well. It has real impact.
Yeah.
Where can people find out more details about Creativity Week? How can they get registered? How can they get their
Yeah.
kids and their loved ones registered if they want to participate?
Yeah, it's actually super easy. If you go to Crayola.com or simply look up Crayola Creativity Week 2026, the sign up is super easy. It literally takes only a couple of minutes. As I mentioned, the program is completely free and you'll get access to all of the resource, all the content, and you can access it digitally. You could have it delivered right into your inbox each day of the Creativity Week. So again, just go to Crayola.com or Crayola Creativity Week 2026 and sign up.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Last question for you. If you could leave brand leaders with one piece of advice about serving communities in ways that go beyond the product and create true impact, which of course also lends itself
Yeah,
to serving the
sure.
product as well, what would that be?
I think for me is really try to understand what is true help. How does your brand be genuinely helpful in whatever the environment or the context is, right? If you could get down to that and you could figure out what it is that you do, it's not just about your marketing strategy and your goals, but if you can marry that with how you can be genuinely authentically helpful, that to me has always been very simple but has always led to a better outcome, be able to identify those things that truly matter, and to your point, that make a real difference and make made a great impact.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Vicky. This has been a really fun and insightful conversation, and I'm excited for more people to be able to participate and join the fun that you all are having with Creativity Week. So I'll drop all the details for people to access it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonia.
All right. So one takeaway from this conversation for me is that the way brands grow has changed. Engagement, not just exposure, is what builds trust. And trust is what allows brands to build real relationships, deepen loyalty, and grow over time. What Crayola shows here is that when a brand connects what it stands for to something people genuinely value and designs it in a way that invites participation, growth becomes a natural outcome. I'll include links to learn more about Creativity Week in the show notes below, so you can get signed up and sign up some of the kids in your life who might want to participate. And if you're curious how other brands are driving growth in today's market, I've linked my roadmap on how billion-dollar brands are winning today's customers in the show notes as well. It breaks down the strategies leading brands are using to build relevance, trust, and loyalty at scale. You can also go to frictionlessgrowthlab.com/roadmap to get access to it. Until next time, remember, friction is the enemy of growth, and growth accelerates when you remove the friction from the customer experiences that you are delivering. Let's focus on removing the friction that exists for the customers that you want to reach. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.